But the big news, and you heard Steve talk about it, I'm sure. Brandon Aiyuk has signed with the San Francisco 49ers. 4 years, $120 million, $30 million a year. I believe $76 million fully guaranteed. Ephraim Salaam, your thoughts?
Look, does he deserve it? Yes. Okay. When you look at his body of work and what he's done since he's been there, he's a reason, not the reason, that they've been able to go deep into the playoffs, into the Super Bowl the last 5 years. I mean, NFC Championship game, one after another, Super Bowls, all of those things. He's part of the piece. So does he deserve to get paid? Yes. The way he went about it and what happened, some may argue was more of a distraction, but it worked, right? So can you argue? Can you argue with someone's methods when it turns out to work the way they wanted it to work? Like, for me, I'm like, look, man, if the Niners wanted to go a different way, if they felt like, oh, okay, well, we drafted a couple young receivers, we can feel them stepping in, you're on your own, right? This would have turned out bad for him.
Right. I mean, I thought he would have just basically had to play.
Oh, he would have definitely had to play. It was no sitting out.
Right.
If they decided they weren't
like he was going to make, I mean, who knows? I think when you are in a situation like this, you have to play, and you got to play well. Oh, yeah. And you have to be a good soldier. But it seemed like he was going to really, I don't think it would have been wise, and maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like he was going to be a bit of a distraction, even if he had played.
Well, the one thing, look, see, I know Kyle Shanahan. I know that coaching staff. I know they weren't going to allow him to come in and be a distraction like that. It just wasn't going to happen. And so if we had gotten to midweek, wasn't going to get done, and they had took a stance like, hey, we're done. We've offered what we're going to offer. We're going to get the guys ready to go. Then he would have had to make a decision. Okay, either I'm going to show up on Wednesday and I'm going to go to work like a regular work week, or I'm just going to hand back money, 14.8, whatever it is he's making this year. Every day I'm missing, every practice, I'm going to hand money. And, oh, by the way, when that game check comes and is in everybody's locker next Monday, that's $700, $800 plus $1,000 a week is going to them, not to me. Right? So those are the decisions he was going to have to be faced with. And I don't think his agent, him, or anybody advising him would have said, hey, that's a good idea. It's one of those,
and he doesn't accrue any time.
Oh, it wouldn't. This would have been just like this year was frozen in time.
And I think that's what the Niners were working on.
Of course,
right? Like they knew, and that's why, to their credit, they did not trade him, because they felt either we will get this done or he's going to have to play for us, and he's going to have to play well anyway if he wants that money. Now, he turned down a few trades, and he is in the best situation. New England obviously would not have been nearly as good as San Francisco's situation. Cleveland, yes, they're potentially a good team, but their quarterback situation obviously isn't as good as the Niners is. Pittsburgh, same thing. Good team, great organization, but right now the quarterback situation doesn't look great. He is in a great situation, and you know this, Ephraim. A guy that young, that good, you want to get paid, no question, but you also want to be able to shine.
Yes.
And do your thing. And he's going to be able to do that. He's Brock Purdy's favorite target. I think, look, a few years ago, I thought Deebo Samuel might be the best football player, and you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Football player in the league. But at this point, I think their best receiver is Brandon Aiyuk.
Well, yeah, when you talk about a traditional receiver, yes. When you look at the numbers, 75 passes, 1342 yards, 7 touchdowns, those are receiver stats. Right? Yep. Deebo doesn't fall into that category. Right? Because Deebo is rushing, he's everything. He's, like you said, one of the top 2 football players in the entire league, not just a position player. Look, Brock Purdy is happier today.
Oh, yes.
The problem is he's not as happy as he wants to be going in till week 1 because Trent Williams hasn't been done yet. So for me, if I'm a quarterback, I'm like, hey, man, it's good. I like his routes. That's my favorite target. I can spread this thing around to other people, see what the young guys are made of. But what I will need to do all of those things is to not be able to looking over my shoulder because we have a left tackle in who is not the best left tackle in football. And I think that's a large part of the San Francisco 49ers success the last few years because when he missed, I believe, what did Trent miss? A couple games they lost all of those games. It
wasn't the same. I agree with you, and I want to get to Trent in the next segment. But let me ask you this, because as you know, I sit across from Nick Wright every day on First Things First, and he consistently is giving me Brock Purdy's interception statistics from training camp.
Who's that, Rob?
So on and so forth. No, Nick Wright. Nick Wright.
Come on, Nick.
Rob would do it too, but you talk about me being on vacation. Shoot.
Well, that's what happens when the money comes, man. When y'all look, man, when you're not pressed to wake up every day and come in and be like, I got to punch the clock. It's like, hey, you know what? Hawaii sounds nice right now. I'm just saying.
It's not quite like that. It's not quite like that. But are you concerned? Because this is a huge year for Brock Purdy.
Huge.
And help getting Brandon Aiyuk there, and again, we'll get to Trent Williams in the next segment, is huge for him. Obviously now, at least for now, I don't know how long these guys will stay healthy, hopefully all year, but he's got all of his skilled players. Are you at all concerned about Purdy's interceptions in training camp and things like that? You know, he didn't have a great training camp, at least that's what the reports were.
No. Someone who played a long time and went through way too many training camps. I understand the ebbs and flow of training camps isn't for everybody. I would much rather have a player struggle in training camp than in regular season, right?
Absolutely.
And because in training camp, you can try things. You can work. This is where you fix things, right? Okay, my footwork, I'm going to work on this angle, my arm angle, my release point. This is where you do those things. So until you hone in on what you're rolling into the regular season with, just throwing interception numbers out there, we don't know when it is. Is it blitz pickup? Is it this?
Right.
And what period is it in? Is he throwing them in one-on-ones? That really doesn't count. Right? Like, so when you just throw that, well, he's throwing interceptions, is it all team-based interceptions? Is it one-on-one interceptions? Is it the 9-on-7 a portion? Like, what? I mean, excuse me, not 9-on-7, but 7-on-7 portion?
Did you see during, and obviously 7-on-7 probably wasn't as prominent when you played, but.
No, it was. We had a whole period with that.
Okay.
Yeah, every day.
Did you see a lot, like, did you have times where you had a good quarterback and you just see he's throwing a lot of interceptions or maybe missing passes and stuff in training camp or in practice and it doesn't faze you at all? Were you alarmed at times or what was that like? What were your experiences like?
And you're absolutely right. It depends on the body of work of the quarterback. If our veteran quarterback is coming in and what training camp begins for guys who, I wasn't a fan of training camp. Training camp for us was a little bit different. And I'm not just talking about the time. Yeah. Like, it was real. It was real training. But for my position, training camp, there's no different between training camp, games, or regular week practice. Like, it's all out war every single day, 2 times a day, full pads. Right. So I hated training camp. Right, I'm trying to keep my head on straight, keep my shoulders from messing up and breaking my fingers because it's contact nonstop twice a day. But you'll look over to field 1 and you have the receivers and the quarterbacks and the DBs over there lollygagging and playing patty cake with the routes and all while we're over here battling. So look. Those things are going to happen, right? You start talking trash, DBs versus receivers.
Right.
Everybody you're going against, they know the routes, they know the offense, they know all of those things. So, yeah, a cornerback in a certain team period is going to sit on a route because he knows you know each other more than anything, right? Like if you have a brother and you've grown up together and you've played together and all that, and now you're playing across from him, I know you, man.
Oh, yeah.
I know you. I know when your hip open, I know you about to come into your break, so I'm going to jump that. So interceptions in practice, to me, I'm not worried about that at all.
Right, cool. Well, look, we're going to get to Trent Williams. I mean, this is a great move for the Niners, but they need more before they head into this season. And their opener is the New York Jets, who have high hopes too. So